Have you ever noticed that when couples break up or separate, that it's usually the male that will find themselves in another relationship a lot sooner than the female? So the male may only take, months or weeks sometimes, days sometimes, before they find themselves in another relationship. And the female may take years or, close to a year before they find themselves in another relationship. And I've just always wondered, why was that? Why is it that they both can be good people, but the male quickly find another woman, but it's not the same for the female. Or the male could have, been completely, wrong in the relationship, was a cheater, and, wasn't, they did not treat the female, the greatest emotionally, and all those types of things in any and every scenario. Most times the male will find themselves in a relationship a lot sooner than the female. And that has just, like I said, has always been something that boggles my mind. And I think I have kind of figured out what the reason is. I feel like a lot of times that males, just by genetics or just by the way that they're made, they are born with more testosterone. Okay, testosterone will, give you the ability to compete or to, conquer and all of those things, to go out and kill and, find food and provide and all of those things. So they have an instinct to survive. They have an instinct to, to come out on top and to compete, and to ultimately win no matter what. Okay. So females, we have a natural instinct to nurture, to care for, to make a home, and when I say make a home, then that's making a physical home, to make an emotional home. We spiritually, we make a home spiritually. So for females, we are known to take what the men give us and to create and to, blossom things and to, nurture and flourish things. Okay, so keep in mind that that's the way that we're naturally made. Okay. So for a male, there are certain things that are going to be more important to males. And you notice that I'm saying males and not men, because all males are not men. That's sad to say, but even due to age, age does not make you a man. Just because you pay your bills, that does not make you a man. And the same thing with females. Age does not make you a woman. Paying bills or having kids does not make you a woman. How many people that you sleep with or that you have coming after you does not make you neither. Does not make you a male, does not make you a man, and does not make you a woman. Okay, so for males, with them having that instinct and females having the instinct that we have, I can see why it would be easy for the male, no matter what type of character that they have. I can see why it would be easy for them to go out and find themselves in another relationship, because that's what they were born to do. They were born to go out and seek. They were born to go out and survive. So for a male, surviving a lot of times is being in union with somebody, whether that's in a monogamous relationship or in a relationship with many others. But it's that's the way that they survive, because they can't survive. I'm not saying that they can't, but most are not willing to survive without being in close connection with the opposite sex, without being in close connection, whether that be physically, emotionally, conversationally, whatever the case may be. But you will find that males, even when they're not in a full-blown relationship with somebody, with another female, then they will at least have a friend, quote unquote, they will at least have a friend that they depend on emotionally. And the friend thing, we got to be careful about that, because we all grown, and we all know that majority of the time, at some point, one or the other have had some type of interest in the other. So, maybe y'all were mature enough to, to say, okay, well, it's not going to work, or one was declined, or whatever the case may be. But it's very rare that you find just strictly platonic friends between a male and a female. So we got to be careful with that friend word when we talking about males and females. Okay, but either way, the male is, born to go out and seek or whatever. So even when they don't have a relationship, then they may have a friend. They may have, family members of the opposite sex that they lean on. They may have, they will have someone in their life that they get that, nurturing from, so that void will be fulfilled somehow. Okay. And, also being that men have that testosterone, they have a higher testosterone than women, then they are more prone to ego. So once that ego kick in, then they will boost themselves up, no matter how less of a character that they have, or how lacking they are in the character department. They will boost themselves up enough to go out and find a woman that is lacking in discernment, so to speak. That is lacking in discernment in order to recognize what they are lacking in. They will find someone that is willing to accept what they are giving. They will find someone that will not put as much requirements on them as the last relationship, because oftentimes what I'm noticing too is that a lot of males, and this may be true for females too, I'm not sure, but I know in males, they get their lick back, so to speak, in the next relationship, on the last relationship, if that makes sense. So in the new relationship that they're in, everything that they're doing, especially in the very beginning, what they're the whole love bombing, phase, the whole puppies phase, the whole, lovebird phase, the honeymoon phase, all that. Okay, that whole phase is that male getting their lick back on the woman that they just left, or the female that they just left. So everything that they know she wanted, they may give to the next woman, although that may not even be something that she necessarily desires. But for that male, if he's in his ego, he's going to want to get his lick back on the past relationship, the previous relationship. He's going to want to get his lick back, because we do have some petty people out here, whether that's male or female, but we have some petty people out here. So they will want to get their lick back. Okay? So that's one thing that a woman that is not discerning will not pay attention to. She won't pay attention to, okay, that he's kind of coming off as if he's treating not me necessarily. He's treating someone else, like a plug and play type of situation, like a situation where this is where you left off at, so this is kind of where you're going to continue to move in this direction, versus finding out what this new person likes, finding out what their desires are, what their wants are. The petty person would just continue, they will do a plug and play. They would just remove the previous person and plug in the new person and just continue on with their usual cycle, because they don't necessarily, know how to, relate to someone else. They just know how to try to make the last person jealous, so that's one thing. So the male coming from their ego, they are definitely going to want to, be petty and try to, get their lick back on the previous relationship by doing things that the previous female desired and wanted with the new female. Okay. And I honestly think that that's kind of what it is. I kind of think that that's why males are able to get in a new relationship so much more quickly, because of that. Because with a female, females, well, I will say women, not just females, but women, because a woman is an evolved female, a matured female. So a mature female is going to want to, take time after a relationship and spend time with themselves and kind of understand themselves, understand where the downfall was, understand where the pitfalls were. What were they lacking? What did they not see? What did they see? What did they overlook? That's what a woman is going to want to do. Now, a female, may just want to do the same thing, in that the males do, and try to move in their masculine way and try to get their lick back on the previous male with the new male. And the thing is that you really can't do that. I mean, you're really only going to wear yourself raggedy trying to prove a point to somebody, because that person may not even know or notice or care what you have going on. So you're really going to run yourself raggedy, and you're going to prolong yourself in a relationship that's not working because you're trying to prove a point. So if anybody's wondering, how is it that this man that was, or male that was, crazy, that was disrespectful, that cheated, and that was horrible, that didn't know how to talk to me, that didn't know how to spend time, that didn't know how to do anything that you would do in a relationship, how in the world were they able to go out and find another relationship? How were they able to go out and find themselves in a relationship? And how were they able to find some female that was willing to be seen in public with them? But that's what it is, that men or males are naturally seekers. they are naturally egotistical, or well, let me rephrase that, because they're all not naturally egotistical, but they are naturally prone to move out of their egos because of the testosterone, because of their desire to conquer, to seek. So I'm not saying that they're all just, negative and they're all moving out of their ego, but they're all naturally prone to seek things from their ego majority of the time. Now, when you come into a man, when you come to a matured male, not just matured by his age, but matured by his experiences, matured by his outlook, matured by his, frame of thinking, matured in life in general. So he would want to do the same thing that the woman had done. He would want to take time for himself to work on whatever hobbies or projects that he had going on, to reflect on things that went wrong and what his part was in the things that went wrong. Now that's for a mature man, not the male, but the man. The same goes for the woman and the female. When you are matured, you are going to want to take time. And I'm not saying time in a strategic way, because you do have some people where if you're not careful, they may want to take time, but it's taking time so they can basically prey on people as things. They would want to take time so they can study people and see how to best conquer them. Okay, which that's what you do when you're in business. When you're in business and you're trying to acquire another company, then you will want to take your time and study their ins and their outs and their customers and their clients and their movements and their sales and how they how they have done things in the past in order to conquer them, so you can see best how to conquer them. So that's what a male would do when they're trying to conquer a female in a relationship. Okay, but a man does not want to conquer you. A man would want to integrate with you. A man would want to merge with you. A man would want to do life with you. Everything is with you with a man. With a male, they want to control and take over and, like I said, conquer. And the same thing with a woman versus a female. A woman is going to want to do life with you. They're going to want to, be by your side and help you along the way with whatever that you have going on. And a man would want to do the same thing, but just a female or a male would want to, control, so it's a difference. So I guess we need to know what we are dealing with. Like, was that a man that we just broke up with, or was that a male? Was that a female, or was that a woman? And I feel like that they should be treated accordingly. You naturally will want to respect a man or a woman, and not saying that you would disrespect a male or a female, because nobody deserves disrespect. But there's just a certain level of respect that a male and a female just naturally won't get because of the way that they leave things, the way that they handle things. They handle things in a disrespectful manner, which will leave you to owe them no respect. So that's not saying that they deserve that they naturally, just because of who they are, deserve no respect, but because of the way that they choose to handle things, may deem them unworthy of your respect, at least. And the thing to know is not to take it personal that your ex has found themselves in another relationship. Not to take it personal that, not to feel like, okay, well, that female has something over you. That's a decision that they made because evidently, maybe they were not comfortable with being by themselves. Maybe they felt like that's the lick back that they wanted to prove that point to you, is that they can find someone else. And oftentimes it's not even that the female on the other end, it's not even that they can't find someone else. A lot of times they don't want to, because they're still trying to heal. And another thing that I noticed is that when you were giving your all in a relationship, when you were giving in a relationship, usually once you heal, once the breakup happens and you heal, then you're usually okay. Okay, for the other end, whomever did not give their all, once they have ran themselves raggedy, usually they're the ones that want to come back to the good person, because they notice that there's not many like that out there. So they want to go back to the last good thing that they know. But when you know that you done gave your all in that relationship, there's nothing else to revisit. Because you tried compromising, that didn't work. You tried being patient, that didn't work. You tried talking, that didn't work. You tried praying for him, that didn't work. You tried, everything that you tried. You tried showing them love, that didn't work. So you were actually trying. So the person that was trying may not have anything else to give to that person or to that relationship. So there's no need to revisit it. But the person that wasn't giving anything, they may want to come back once they have run themselves raggedy. They may want to come back and try again, because now they notice, now they realize, now they see. Okay. But so what that means is that one person was in a relationship and the other person wasn't. The person that was giving was in a relationship with themselves, while the other person was not even in a relationship. So now they actually want to try the relationship thing with them. Too little, too late. That's what that is. That's a case of too little, too late. Because at this point, the giver is now giving out. The giver now has nothing left to give to that person. So that's the downside of breakups, and that's the downside of not seeing what's in front of you when you have it. That's the downside of not taking advantage of an opportunity when you have the opportunity in your grasp and you not taking advantage of it. That's the downside of it. But that's just an interesting thing that I have noticed. And so if you ever find yourself wondering why or how do males find themselves in a relationship a lot sooner or a lot quicker than a female after a breakup, then that's usually why. Because males can pick themselves up and they can They are made to seek out. They are made to, provide. They're made to conquer. They are made to win, and all of those things. That's what they were designed by the Lord to do. And so, sometimes they feel the need to provide themselves a female in order to survive.